So here's the thing. There are some people out there that believe if you lie to your kids about Santa Claus, that it's damaging to them in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you being a pediatrician over the last 20 years, have you heard about this, A, or and B? Well, first I want to ask, what age do kids stop believing in Santa Claus that you've seen?
I know. I think it really varies depending on the child and their maturity, and also when they really don't want to believe anymore. A lot of people hold on to beliefs, even though they know in the back of their head, oh, there's really not a tooth fairy, there's really not a Santa Claus, but it's fun to believe. It's fun to use our imaginations, which I think this really is. More than lying to our kids, it's part of normal development to use our imagination and make up stories. And it's really, I think when you look back, most people have fond memories of those stories. I mean, let me turn it back on you. In your adult life, how many people have you interacted with that have told you, because my parents told me there was an Easter bunny or Santa Claus or a tooth fairy, I can't believe anything they tell me because they were lying to me all those. Have you ever come across that person?
No.
Right. Either have I. And I understand that's what's said, but I also see the other side where we look back at these stories and our childhood with a lot of fond thoughts. And there was actually a study on this where they did look back, and most people recalled, even though knowing their parents lied to them, they looked back fondly on those memories, not negatively. I think it's a fun thing for kids to believe.
Yeah, I think it is too. However, I think parents, particularly today, are leaning heavily on Santa Claus and now recently Elf on the Shelf for parenting. For example, and I've had an argument about this with my wife, Lana. In April, she's going, Santa's watching you, right?
Okay.
And in my opinion, I'm like, you don't bring Santa into the equation until shortly after Thanksgiving. Because if you bring it in April, you got really no, like in May, they're like, all right, is he really watching?
Right.
It's 8 months away. I thought she brought it in too early. But this Elf on the Shelf now has basically become like a discipline tool, which I'm not really fond of. I'm not fond of giving an elf on my shelf this much power in my house.
Yeah.
Right. And not that, we joke about it, but there are some people out there that believe that you are corrupting your child's mind by telling them that there is make-believe. And even my own daughter, who's 5.5, I think she thinks there's no Santa.
Yeah.
Because she's like, Daddy, oh, it's just pretend. Not Santa, but like she knows pretend over reality.
But I think that's part of good normal development. Part of that, using the imagination, making up stories. And yeah, some 5-year-olds are already like, this is all BS.
Yeah.
Other kids are much, much later are holding on to it and then find out from their friend in 6th grade, like, what do you mean there's no Santa Claus, and ruin it for everybody. Using it for discipline, I think it's hard because I think most of us don't follow through, right? How are you going to say something in May and then you're going to tell me they're going to be perfect till December? That they know, So I think that's difficult. I mean, my daughter, I'm trying to think, Elf on a Shelf, I remember with my daughter, she started, how you're not supposed to move it? Because it loses its powers. And then she started moving it without us knowing. And then she came to us and said, I move it and nothing happens. So I know this isn't real. So she outsmarted us and the Elf on the Shelf.
The opinions expressed in this program are not intended as professional medical advice, as a diagnosis, as a treatment protocol, or as a substitute for professional medical advice from your physician. Please consider your own medical history and consult with your own physician for your specific healthcare and/or medical needs and about your concerns for yourself and your family.